Manchester United legend Gary Neville has slammed the Premier League and accused them of acting like bullies ahead of the potential introduction of an independent football regulator. The Football Governance Bill, which includes the setting up of an independent regulator, was introduced by the Conservatives in March and Labour are pushing ahead with it. The need for an independent regulator in English football became a prominent talking point after the Super League debacle. The government have said it will protect football clubs by ensuring their financial sustainability, and the bill, providing that it passes through Parliament, will give a regulator backstop powers that means they could intervene in football when necessary. Neville has been a strong supporter of an independent regulator, and it's thought its introduction would help protect the interests of English football fans throughout the pyramid. The Premier League have been reluctant to see an independent regulator introduced, but the organization's CEO Richard Masters has warned it would be a risk for it to be formed. There has been a suggestion that English teams could be barred from European competition if the new regulator is introduced due to UEFA rules against state involvement in football governance, but Labour have dismissed those concerns and reiterated it would be independent. Neville has slammed the Premier League for their reluctance to welcome an independent regulator and, speaking to PA at a Labour conference on Monday, he said, "We have a Premier League that's entitled, they feel entitled. I'm not going to use the word greedy, but I just have. They are selfish and I can't understand that way of thinking. It's almost like they're the big brother that sit there and distribute scraps of food to the little brothers round the table. It's not what you do when you're in a family. Their mindset is such of a bully. Their mindset is such that they think they can influence the regulator once the regulator's introduced and they can get a better deal, potentially the other side of the regulator. And what they're applying is their soft power and their influence to try and create scare stories and scaremongering, like we had a couple of weeks ago." Lisa Nandy, who is the Culture, Media and Sport Secretary, said at the same Labour conference that claims English sides could be barred from European competitions were ridiculous and really disrespectful to fans because it caused a lot of alarm, which was really unnecessary. Nandy also said the government would not be heavy-handed, and said that ministers wanted to deal with the lack of sustainability in other parts of the football pyramid. In response, the Premier League have dismissed Neville's comments about acting like a bully, and they have argued they continue to discuss the football regulator with the new government. The Premier League have clarified a light touch, targeted and proportionate legislation can be made to work, and have referenced Masters' comments from the end of last season. "My overriding concern is that the bill will reduce our competitiveness and weaken the incredible appeal of the English game," said Premier League CEO Masters. "Our competition is the most watched and commercially successful football league in the world. Thanks to that success, Premier League clubs are able to give away £1.6 billion every 3 years, 16% of our total revenues, to the wider game, helping to make it the envy of the world. It is a risk that regulation will undermine the Premier League's global success, thereby wounding the goose that provides English football's golden egg. It is a risk to regulate an industry that has worked so hard to lead the world, especially when none of its competitors are subject to the same regulation. Those competitors are relishing the prospect of the Premier League being uniquely constrained. Empires rise and fall, and while I am confident about the league's immediate future, it would be a mistake to be complacent about our place as the world's most popular league. It is a risk to introduce uncertainty and red tape into an industry that relies heavily on a relatively small pool of investors, who often see club ownership as a passion project as well as a business.